So I think I just got a message from Fiona. She's also joining in a minute as we are running short of time. So good afternoon, everyone. Wishing you all a very happy Indian Independence Day. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owner of the land on which we meet today. I would like to pay my respect to elders past and present. I, Gurnam Singh, the founder of Australian Indian Sports Education and Culture Society, welcome all our esteemed guests on behalf of Team AISECS and thank them for taking our time and joined us today in the virtual celebration of 75th year of Indian Independence Day. Honorable Manpreet Vohra, High Commissioner of India, Jason Wood, Assistant Minister for Custom, Community, Safety and Multiculturalism, Honorable Dev Sharma, Member for Wentworth, Fiona Martin, Member for Reid, Manish Gupta ji, Consul General for Sydney, Jodi McKay, Parliament Member for Strathfield, Victor Dominello, Minister for Digital and Customer Service. And our dear friends, Smita Gopalan, Livingston, Rajesh Upola, Seema Chauhan, Prerna, Rohit, Jazeel, Karthik, Sunny Dugal, who have joined us today from different parts of Australia. Right now, NSW is going through the tough time. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe. ASICS is a non-for-profit organization that aims to promote the strengthen the bilateral ties between Australia and India in priority sector of sports, education, and culture. As we all know, Australia and India share a very good relationship, and every year Independence Day is celebrated on a large scale in Australia. This year, while India marks 75th year of independence, ASICS decided to celebrate the glorious day of freedom as a grand event virtual due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic with the full festive spirits. But as an Indian, we are glad our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed our nation like every other years at Redford in India and celebrated this big day with the presence of all Olympians who have won the medal in Tokyo Olympics 21. We are all already aware with the importance of Independence Day. Today, I would like to explain the significance of our national flag in a brief. The Indian national flag has three stripes of the three color, and that's why we call it Tiranga, which means tricolor. The saffron color represents the courage and sacrifice of our freedom fighters. The white color represents the truth, peace, and purity, and the green color represents the prosperity, while the Ashok Chakra in the center represent the law of dharma, that is our morality. So now beginning with the celebration, I would like our Ambassador Reid to please take us through the presentation that reflects on growing relationship of two incredible nations, India and Australia, and how they are evolving together.
Thank you, Kunna. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody for joining us on this occasion. It's really significant, and thank you everyone for joining us. So as Kunna mentioned, so we are celebrating a very historic 75th India's Independence Day. So with the historic times that we are going through, the things have changed in terms of how we are virtually celebrating, but something which is always close to our heart and roots that we wanted to come together as a community and reflect in terms of a stronger relationship between the two countries, how we go in. So as we know, yesterday, our Honorable Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, celebrated and hoisted the flag at the Red Fort, addressing the nation and thanking the people, especially those who were the frontline heroes across during the COVID second wave crisis that happened in India. So this was quite significant in terms of the 75th anniversary, in terms of how it was celebrated back in India. As a country, Indian and Australia relationship has been termed as a very comprehensive strategic partnership. So we share so much in common, and it's due to our history of both the parts of the world, being part of the British Empire post and a member of the Commonwealth nations, that we celebrate so many things together as a common values. There are many things that join both the country, whether it comes to sports, culture, and economic fronts. But there is another significance is in terms of the 26th of January, where that both the countries celebrate together. So in Australia, we celebrate 26th January as an Australian Day, while in India, we celebrate the same day as a Republic Day, which is kind of a great thing for both the countries in terms of how we are connected with each other. There is so much that is discussed between the two countries, whether it comes to trade, political, economic, and social ties that happen between both the countries. And how the foreign minister for both the countries sees a lot of potential in the growth ties between both the nations, which are happening across. So just to see in terms of some numbers, how both countries have a significant impact. So we see India was 6th largest export market in the world. Around 24.4 billion is the trade that happens two-way across both the countries, which is a significant amount of trade which happens in. And on the education side, if we see, it's around 88% that the education in Australia is the largest service export to India, which is a significant number in here. If you talk about the Indian diaspora here in Australia, so it's around 700K plus people who now calls Australia as a home for Indian ethnicity here in Australia, which is like really significant. Though we are saying that we are divided by countries, but there is one thing that unites both the countries significantly, which is cricket. Sports has played a very pivotal role in relationship between the two countries, and cricket is something which people of both the countries are really fanatic and passionate about. So this whole journey has started during the time of British colonization, and cricket has emerged as one of the strong cultural connection between the two nations, as well as the common English language which runs through. This year has been a very special for both the countries as well. Being part of the Tokyo Olympics, both the countries have won many medals, but one sport, specifically hockey, is one where both the countries were on the podium together, which really marks in terms of great significance what both the countries have achieved in sports beside cricket. There is a famous saying which says, "A friend in need is a friend indeed." When the times are tough, then only you can see who is your really real friend is and who is just an ally. So when India was hit by COVID second wave, Australia was one of the first countries to come in for help and support, and provided all the essential medical supplies and details to India. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked Prime Minister Scott Morrison for coming to the aid when the times were really tough during the second wave when India was being hit in. The relationship and the stronger ties between both the nations is being resonated by prime ministers of both the country. So as Dr. Honorable Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, says, like, India and Australia relationships have deepened in, and this depth comes from our shared values, shared interests, geography, and the shared objective that we run through. Resonating the same feelings, Honorable Prime Minister Scott Morrison has the same perspective. It says, like, India has been a positive force in these trying times, and our relationship with India is a natural one. The time has come for broader and a deeper ties. So with the significant changes happening around the world, and it's the new normal, the way we are going in, the relationship and the ties now holds much stronger the way that we want to come forward and make this journey as a whole. Thank you so much. So just wanted to give you a brief perspective in terms of how the relationship between the two countries go. Kunam, do you want to take it from me?
Yes. Now, thank you so much, Reid. Now I would like our Honorable High Commissioner of India, Manpreet Vohra, to kindly brief us the evolution of the Australian relationship and share his thoughts on 75th anniversary of Free India.
Well, thank you very much, Gurnam, for that. Namaste and good day to everybody. I'm delighted that the Australian Indian Sports Education and Cultural Society is organizing this celebration today. I wish we could have done it in person, and besides seeing and speaking with each other, we could have shared some chai and samosa together. But I hope very much that we'll be able to do that sooner rather than later, and there would be better times ahead of us. I am concerned that particularly my friends, all of you in Sydney, have been under lockdown for such a long time. Unfortunately, even Canberra is today, as you all know, under lockdown. So these celebrations, even yesterday, our flag raising ceremony here in Canberra, we had to go virtual and live stream it. But at least we have the option of technology today. So it does allow us to get together, even if virtually. So thank you, Gurnam, for organizing this. And honorable ministers, your excellencies, members of parliament, Consul General Manish, my good colleague, and all other friends. Very, very good morning to all of you. Happy Independence Day. As you know, thank you very much for joining us. This is our 75th, or yesterday was our 75th Independence Day. We completed 74 years as an independent republic, as an independent country, and we have launched our, what we call India at 75, our 75th anniversary, which will fall exactly 1 year from today. We've already begun, and we hope to intensify further a series of celebrations and events involving everybody in Australia, the Indian diaspora, our Australian friends, governments, local bodies, private sector, other organizations, to do many, many celebratory events, which will not only showcase India, but particularly showcase the deepening linkages between us. It is wonderful to see how much all of you present here today and so many other Australian friends have greeted us. The messages right from His Excellency, the Prime Minister, to so many others to us on our Independence Day have been extremely heartwarming and encouraging. The positivity in our relationship, the closeness that we feel to each other is incredible. And last night in cities across Australia, definitely here in Canberra, up in Brisbane, even in Perth. I'm not quite sure about Sydney, but I know that there's particularly a nasty lockdown there. But we had so many iconic buildings and monuments which had been illuminated by the tricolor of the Indian flag. And that made such a lovely visual that showed how much Australians value the friendship with India, how much they value the contribution that Indian Australians of Indian heritage are making here to Australia. That really, in fact, gladdens my heart and makes me very proud as High Commissioner to see how well the Indian origin community here is doing, has done, and I have no doubt will continue to do. It is, as you all know, a growing community. Some figures have just been given to us by Reidpal in his presentation. It's a very fast-growing community. It is a community which is educated, which is industrious, which is law-abiding, which has assimilated well, which has accepted the Australian way of life, but yet guards and preserves our customs and traditions from back home. They celebrate our festivals. And I think in no small manner, they are adding to the color of this beautiful kaleidoscopic mosaic, which is Australian multiculturalism today. I have no doubt that members of parliament and so many of you with us today perhaps will share what I have just said about the nature of the Indian community in each and every one of your electorates. I remember the other day I was in Brisbane and I called on the Chief Justice of Queensland, and I asked her, I said, Your Honor, when was the last time, if you don't mind my asking, when was the last time when an Indian origin person was hauled up before your bench. And I'm not exaggerating that she thought for several long seconds and said, "High Commissioner, I can't remember." So that's the nature of the Indian community over here. There are, I know, some black sheep, there always will be, and particularly with a large diaspora. But by and large, this is a community that excels itself and is known only for the positivity it brings in and not for any negativity. So they make me very proud, and I have no hesitation in saying, I've said this many times in the last 3 months since my arrival in Australia, and I'm delighted to repeat it again, that I might be the High Commissioner of India, but each and every one of my community members is an ambassador of India. So I hope they're doing well, as I said, for each and every one of your constituencies. They bring so much value, they contribute so much, I know, in multiple ways to Australia. Reidpal, you've made my job easier by already giving a flavor of the strength of our relationship, our partnership, which, as you explained, is a comprehensive strategic partnership now. That is stunning to see how quickly the relationship has ramped up in recent years. And that is, there are lots of factors. Primary among those is a rediscovery, as it were, on both sides of India and Australia, being very natural partners, of having very complementary economies, of having the same democratic traditions, the same values, and that makes us natural partners in our Indo-Pacific region. There are so many avenues where we can collaborate. We are already doing that, but there's so much more that we can do. And therefore, I think the future of our relationship is extremely bright. There is conviction on both sides. Every meeting that I've had back in New Delhi, every meeting that I've had in Canberra with ministers, with political leaders, with officials, the strength of conviction in our relationship and the future of our partnership, that is so common. That ambition is very high. The closeness of our leadership, the personal connect of our leadership is of great value in all of this. Even former leaders are contributing in a major way. You're all aware that former Prime Minister Tony Abbott himself was in New Delhi 10 days ago, had a very important high-level meetings, all designed to see how we can do further, how much we can do further, how we can advance, particularly our economic relationship. Because while we are doing extremely well on most other fronts, certainly our political relationship, the commonalities and the joint efforts of our foreign ministries, our common thinking on the strategic nature of things, of our region, of the Indo-Pacific, our military-to-military links, our scientific links, our educational links are all doing very well. Many of them are reasonably matured. I do feel that despite the very impressive numbers that we've just heard in Reidpal Singh's presentation, I am convinced that we've only just scratched the surface as far as our economic relationship goes. There is much more trade that is possible. There is much more investments that are possible in either country. As Australia today acknowledges and realizes that it does need to structurally change its economic development and growth model from perhaps excessive dependency on a single export market or a single market for sources of import, as it needs new partnerships, as it must also diversify beyond being a primary commodities exporter. It must start adding value. It must start even manufacturing. I think the Indian economy, the Indian market provides immense opportunities that I hope Australian businesses will seize. We are today already the 5th largest economy. third largest in terms of purchasing power parity. We are a market of 1.3 billion people. A very, very large, almost 500 million of them are now in the middle class, very high consumption economy. Indeed, these days of the COVID pandemic, much like Australia, if there is something that has sustained our economic growth or not allowed us to contract by as much as had been feared when the pandemic broke last year, it is thanks to domestic consumption. That is being given much more impetus now. Even yesterday in the Prime Minister's address to the nation, which Reid and Gurnam mentioned, major policy announcements were made on domestic economic stimulus and so much more that we are doing to spur growth. So it's an opportunity that is there for Australia and Australian businesses to grab. And I think I have certainly, and I'm sure Manish, our Consul General in Sydney, also has placed it among our foremost priorities during our term here. I will try to enthuse the investors and the actual business decision makers on both sides to look at each other more closely, to pay more attention to each other. I know that the COVID travel restrictions come in the way of getting those meetings, getting people to know each other, increase the comfort level between business decision makers. But hopefully that will be a thing of the past in the near future. I hope very much that travel can resume between our two countries. The vaccinations, I think, are the only way out. I'm delighted that that is being ramped up now in Australia. We are doing not so poorly back in India on the vaccination front. As of yesterday, we had administered 543 million jabs. Almost 10% of our population is now double vaccinated already. And we hope by the end of this year, just as Australia has targeted the end of the year to reach a certain threshold where travel and opening up would become possible. The same would be achieved in India. Vaccine passports will come in and we'll start doing much more together. So once again, thank you very much for this opportunity to spend this morning with all of you. As I said, I wish it was in person, but I promise that I will come down to Sydney for all of you who are there and will meet you in person as soon as circumstances allow. And of course, whenever any of you who's out of the ACT is able to come to Canberra, my doors are open. Please give me a shout. We'll get together and get to know each other better and see what more we can do together. Thank you once again, Your Excellencies. Gurnam, thank you very much for organizing this, to you and your colleagues. Thanks everybody for joining us. Once again, a very happy 75th Independence Day to all of you. Namaskar, good day.
Thank you so much, sir. We are grateful to you for always, supporting the community and the cause, what we're actually doing. We won't take much time, and I would like to invite Hon Jason Wood, Assistant Minister for Custom, Community Safety and Multicultural Affairs, to please share his thoughts on this special occasion and take us briefly through the growth of Australia as a multicultural and diverse nation.
Thank you, Ganam. Namaste, Sasra Kal for you. And it's great to see we're matching today with your very colourful turban. I love your Australian Indian one too, when we first met at the cricket in Canberra. Can I also say Swa Tatra Diwas Ki Shob Kam Ni, which I believe is Hindi for Happy Independence Day for our great friends in India. And it's a pleasure to be on this Zoom event today. Can I also just acknowledge your other guests you have here today, the High Commissioner of India, Manpreet Vohra, also my good friend Dr. Fiona Martin from the seat of Reid, who actually visited the Hindu temple in her electorate, and I saw on the line before, and also Dave Sharma, my great colleague and friend who actually has some Indian heritage in him. The Honourable Manish Gupta, Consul General of India, Honourable Jodi McKay, congratulations on wearing the traditional Indian dress today, and the Honourable Victor Dominello. It's great for us to be here today. My role as Assistant Minister for Multicultural Affairs, and as you said, and we've heard before, that there's nearly, in actual fact, I think there's going to be well over 700,000 Indian Australians. We've just had the census. I know my electorate out in the suburbs of, or the southeast of Melbourne, a number of years back, to be honest, we didn't have many Indians in our electorate, which was our loss. The great news now is in my electorate, I have two Gurdwara, two Sikh temples. I recently, just in a neighbouring area down at Carrum Downs, I went to visit and they tell me it's the largest Hindu temple in the southern hemisphere. And this celebration of 75 years of independence, can I say, is a recognition of the Indian people's dedication, commitment and hard work right across not only India, but in Australia. And can I say, when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic, whether it be the Sikh volunteers, Australia, or our other Indian friends and multicultural communities, what you've done in the time of need, especially, can I say, helping out the Indian students. And I actually had a Zoom conference with India, I think it was CNN, and they said, how can you guarantee that the international students in Australia are being looked after? And I said, well, we're treating the international students as our own. And one of the reasons I was so confident, not only through the Prime Minister, we committed $200 million of support, and through the Red Cross, a fair percentage that actually helped out international students and other people on visas. But because of our Indian community, how much you were looking after the international students, taking around food hampers, supporting these. And I know in Melbourne, we've actually had 200 days of lockdown compared to New South Wales. You're nowhere near that. But one thing we do know is through the resilience of Australians and Indians, we'll get there. I was amazed to hear those figures before. 500 million vaccinations in India, which is rather incredible, and something for the Indian community to be so proud of. Also, when it came to Australia's support, obviously Australia's a very small country compared to India, but we did actually, through again the great relationship between the two countries, and especially our two prime ministers, and especially India being the world's largest democracy, 3 tons of medical supplies, 3,000 ventilators. We just want to do our little bit to help India out, because India needed help at that time. When it comes to trade, as we heard before, we are the sixth biggest trading partner with India. And can I say, there's only huge opportunity to grow. If you compare it to sport, and again, every time I go to an Indian event, I was down in Tasmania a few months ago with my good friend Gavin Pearson, the federal seat of Braddon, and lo and behold, he wanted me to meet the Indian community. So what do? We just play cricket, and it was a great occasion. Again, every time I meet up with Indians, either my Gujarati, my own electorate, they just, every time I meet up, they either want to have a big cricket match, and that's been the disappointing thing, not being able to play so much cricket this year. And last time, Gurnon, we caught up in Parliament House, and again, we're talking about cricket. We're doing a movie. I think it was a movie, or was it a documentary? And it's just to really highlight the Australian Indian Sports Education Cultural Society and the connections between Australia and India through cricket. And that's something we can all be so proud of. Just when it comes to back in town, and through in particular the Prime Minister's support and protecting places of worship, and I look after the Safer Communities Fund, I'm been very proud to say that over $2.5 million of funding has gone to making places of worship in the Indian community safer places to be at, and that's something we're very proud, because as we've seen awful atrocities in Sri Lanka and in New Zealand, and I know there's been others around the world in India and other places. We just want to make our places of worship very safe. And also down in Melbourne too, we now have a Indian community centre. Last term we funded that $2.5 million, and I was with Ben Morton up in Western Australia again, where they had, I think it was 60 or 70 Indian societies come together. And I was very glad to see that the Liberal Morrison government committed $2 million. When it came to the Sikh Games, that's my first, I suppose, involvement with the Indian community. And that was a few years back when the PM was first selected. And he said, what would you like me to see us fund? And I said, the Indian Games, the Sikh Games are so important. Western Australia had them recently, but I assume it wasn't under the same way it could normally be run. Working also with the Indian Film Festival, such an important way again of engaging. And this year, can I say, I'm so proud the focus has been on modern slavery. And I actually took that to the committee members to look at that. And that was actually through Karthik Aruso. So I think Karthik, I believe, is on today, and all your support through the Indian community. I won't speak for much longer, but today is a great day for you, Gurnham, to have this event and have so many leaders from across the country. I very much look forward to Fiona Martin is having another event tonight, and I look very much forward to joining herself. And yesterday was the Independence Day, and the thing I love about the Indian community, you get in there and you have a go, and it's like the popular thing at the moment down in Melbourne, and some of my Indian friends have just bought a post office, and this, I'm not sure if the same thing's happening in New South Wales, but the Indian investment is really going into post offices, and you do so much work in the transport industry, so many entrepreneurs, and it's just great to have the Indian population growing. And we just obviously want the borders to open up and again get international students here. So Gurnham, again, congratulations to you and your committee, and thanks for having us on this morning.
Thank you so much, Jason. And thank you always for support the community and looking forward. Now I would like to invite Honorable Dev Sharma, Minister for Wentworth, to kindly share his message for Indian diaspora in Australia on the big occasion.
Thank you so much, Gurnham, and thank you to all the guests. Let me just acknowledge the High Commissioner and the Consul General, who both do a wonderful job representing their country here in Canberra in Australia and in Sydney more broadly, both very active and visible within their community, which is exactly what you want diplomatic representatives to be. My colleague and Minister Jason Wood, who is a great supporter of all our communities in Australia, and I've worked with him closely on the Safer Communities funding, and I know he takes the security and safety and ability for people to practice their faith in peace very seriously. Jodie McKay, the New South Wales opposition leader, let me acknowledge her. I know she's a great friend of the Indian community as well and has many in her electorate, and it's great to see her. And then finally, my colleague, Fiona Martin, who is also a wonderful friend of the Indian community and always is giving of her time and her access to help that community. I'll keep my remarks very short, Gurnham, but I just wanted to say, I think the Indian community has made amazing strides here in Australia. When my father, who is Indian, he came from Trinidad and Tobago, but his family is from UP or Uttar Pradesh in the north. And when he first came to Sydney in 1979, and we moved here, we settled here. If you looked up the white pages in the phone book, you would only see one Sharma in the whole phone book in Sydney, and that was me and my family. And the white pages doesn't exist as a hard copy thing anymore. But if you looked up today a name like Singh or Sharma or any number of other names, you'd see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I think the Indian migration story to Australia has been an amazing success story of the last 4 decades. I think the community has made a huge contribution to Australia. They're diligent, they're law-abiding, they're passionate about Australia, they're passionate about education and their children, and they just find an amazing way to get along with everyone within their community and beyond their community. And as a result, I think of all the waves of migration we've had that make up Australia, I think this latest wave from India has to be one of the most positive. Let me lastly just say, though, I think there is so much more that the Indian community can contribute to Australia. If you look at countries like the United States or the United Kingdom, where the Indian story has been there longer, the community has been established for longer, we see Indian Americans and British Indians in very prominent positions in public life, in commercial life, as the heads of professional bodies, on the courts, and as judicial advocates and everything else. And I think that story is only just beginning here in Australia. I know we're seeing more prominent Indians in more prominent public places, but I think it's important that that continues. And I think it's important that we all encourage the younger members of the community to aim high in Australia, whether they're in the professions, whether they're in business or commerce, whether they're in government or the public service, because the horizons are really unlimited in a country like Australia for our Indian community. And we want to see Indians represented in all spheres of public and commercial and artistic life. So please be ambitious for your community and be ambitious for your children, and be assured that, the path that I'm on as the first Indian Australian in the House of Representatives in Parliament is one that I would like to see many more Indian Australians on in the future from all sides of politics. Thank you, Gurnam, Dhanyavad, and happy Independence Day.
Thank you so much, Dave, for your time. Now I would like to invite Dr. Fiona Martin, the Honourable Member for Reid, to kindly share her views on significance of the Indian community growth and diverse society in Australia, and especially in Reid.
Thank you, Gurman, and namaste. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land in which I meet you on. I'm here in Canberra in quarantine, and I'd like to just acknowledge the traditional owners and their connection to land, water and community across Australia. I'd just like to quickly acknowledge the High Commissioner and the Consul General for doing a wonderful job representing their nation. Minister Wood, who was on the line earlier, thank you very much. Our state and federal colleagues who are on the line, Dave Sharma, of course, my good friend and member for Wentworth, Victor Dominello, member for Reid, and Jodi McKay, of course. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to wish you all very much a very happy Indian Independence Day. It was strong leadership and vision which led India to independence in 1947. And the decades that have passed have seen countless achievements for India, strong economic growth and development, and of course, a very proud democracy. Australia has very strong ties with India, both military and economic. And of course, as Minister Wood mentioned, the connection is even stronger because of cricket, which we both love so much. But because of migration, waves of migration, Australia has over 700,000 people of Indian descent, and New South Wales has approximately 200,000. And in my electorate of Reid, in the inner west of Sydney, we have just over 8,500 people of Indian descent. I'm very proud to represent the Indian Australian community in Reid, and I can tell you now there is a strong Indian Australian community in Reid, a community that prides itself on its culture, language, and also passing down history generation to generation. In Reid, of course, we have people who have contributed to many fields, particularly in finance and banking, in law, small business. There are loads of small businesses in Strathfield, family-owned small businesses, and also, and importantly to me, in healthcare. I think we have quite a few GPs of Indian descent in Reid, and specialist doctors, not just one, but multiple members of the same family, specialist doctors. So it's always lovely to work with our doctors in Reid. Obviously, COVID has been devastating around the world, and I wanted to just acknowledge how sad and sorry I am for the devastation that has occurred in India. And of course, in Australia, we're going through our own battle right now. And can I just acknowledge just quickly how important it is to be vaccinated at this very, very, very challenging time for our nation. But I'll end with this. I just wanted to wish you all on the line a very happy Indian Independence Day, to all the freedom fighters of the past that have made India what it is today. celebrate this very important milestone for you, and happy Independence Day. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Now I would like to invite Honorable Victor Dominello, Minister for Digital and Customer Service, to kindly share his thoughts upon growth and importance of the Australia and India partnership over the years.
Hi, Gordon.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Namaste. I've been to India 4 times, I think twice in an official capacity and twice in a personal capacity. And I just love the place. That's why I've been 4 times. In fact, I've been to India more times than I've been to Italy. And if there was an alien that arrived on planet Earth and the alien wanted to understand what Earth was about, I'd say go and visit India. Because in India, you have the microcosm of the world. It is just an amazing place. It really does cover all corners of humanity there. But when we talk about partnerships, we often think about partnerships in the current sense, in the current tense, as it were. But we know how fast and how quickly history has changed, and therefore the future will change. 200 years ago, democracy was just in its formation. Now, who knows where we will be in 200 years' time? But what we do know is that the values that we have as individuals in a democracy are so profound and worth fighting for, worth guarding, because they are liberties and freedoms that you can't enjoy everywhere on the planet. Just have a look at Afghanistan now and the fights that they're having. So when we're looking at the partnerships between, say, Australia and India, they're great right now, don't get me wrong. But I think the best partnerships for our 2 continents, two countries, are ahead of us. India is the largest democracy in the world. It is heavily into tech. It really understands the importance of that. And the world is going to be driven by technology, not just now, but increasingly in the future. They've got over 1 billion people there, which is a huge human resource. And in the century to come, we're going to have a population deficit. We're going to go into decline. So it's the countries of the world that continue to populate that will be even stronger. Whereas in places like Australia, we have challenges, and that's why we have to bring people into this great southern land. So the opportunities for partnership around some of the critical things that will drive our future are very solid between our two nations. So can I just wish you all a very happy 75th Independence Day. To my Indian friends who are very dear to me, thank you for allowing me to be part of your life, and thank you for bringing so much joy and wonder into this great land of ours.
Thank you so much, Victor, for your time. And now I would like to invite Honorable Jodi McKay, Parliament Member for Strathfield, to kindly share her view upon embracing Indian values and culture on this big day. Jodi.
Thank you very much, Gurdon. And can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to elders past and present. Of course, I want to acknowledge the High Commissioner and the Consul General who are here with us on this Zoom today. Both of you have done such an incredible job here in Australia with our borders closed. We've had many of our Indian citizens, of course, who've been here in Australia, our international students, and of course our Australian residents keen to get back to India. That's a mammoth job when our borders are closed. So I acknowledge both of you. I also want to acknowledge the 80th anniversary of the Consulate in Sydney. Such an incredible achievement when you consider 75 years of independence and 80 years of us having an Indian consulate here in Sydney. We were planning grand celebrations today for this 75th anniversary, but of course that wasn't to be because of the pandemic. And I just think it's a testament to the passion of our Indian Australian community that hasn't stopped the celebrations. It hasn't stopped those living here in Australia from wanting to reach out to India and make sure India understands the connection that they still have with India, even though they're Australian citizens. And truly, that is what our relationship is about. It's a connection, it's based on people. And as you said, High Commissioner, from that comes trade, business and commerce. And that is incredibly important. And there is so much potential for us going forward. Gurnam, I just want to acknowledge the work that you've done with international students. Our international students, particularly from India, are so welcome here. They're so incredibly valued, their contribution that they make. And this pandemic has been terribly hard on them. You have done an extraordinary job in being there to support them, to lobby members of Parliament and make sure that you're working with both the High Commission, but also the Consulate in supporting them. I very much look forward to what happens when our borders open. And I think one of the most important relationships that we will engage with again will be India. As you said, High Commissioner, that is so much potential there, so much untapped business, trade and commerce, but it is based on it's based on a cultural connection that our two countries have. And no matter closed borders, it doesn't matter if the borders are closed, that cultural connection will always exist. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here on this very, very special day. I've put a message on my Facebook, which people are enjoying. I was in a red sari in that message, but it was a heartfelt outreach to our Indian Australian community and of course residents of India to say that we value them, we look forward to our borders opening, and we wish you in every way a very happy 75th Independence Day.
Thank you so much, Jodie. And indeed, it's a very special day just because today is Jodie Mckay birthday. So make sure you wish her as well.
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday, ma'am. Happy birthday.
Thank you, High Commissioner. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
I have a sweet with me just to celebrate your birthday, just so I can, a little bit sugar. And so thank you so much, Jodie. You always being very kind and supporting. That's why not only opposition or position, everyone loves you. The way you connect with the Indian community, that shows so much. That's a connection, as High Commissioner has mentioned, the culture. Our relationship with India or the different people is like the greetings we do, how we celebrate, how we show the respect to people, even though a youngster, elder, or anyone. Now I'd like to invite our Honorable Consul General of India, Manish Gupta ji, to share his thoughts on India's 75th year of independence and how it celebrated Indian across the world.
Honorable High Commissioner, sir, Honorable Minister Jason Wood, Honorable Minister Victor Dominello, Federal MPs Fiona Martin, Dev Sharma, Honorable State Member of Parliament Jodi McKay. Namaskar. Good afternoon to all of you. It's such a heartening pleasure, that we are meeting today on the celebrating India's 75th Independence Day. It's a momentous occasion. It goes without saying it's a major milestone in India's national journey. Despite all the challenges, the amount of celebrations we have had across Australia in New South Wales, not only with the Indian Australian community organizations, but it was such a pleasant surprise for me, the student associations, city councils, they also roped in for the celebrations in a virtual format. As Honorable High Commissioner mentioned, the amount of political messages from political dignitaries that we received, that speaks about the warmth of our relationship. And I must acknowledge, the constant encouragement and support that we have received from the governments, from the political leaders during the last 1.5 years. These are incredibly challenging times, but this was always very helpful for us to steer the community through. Gurnam, I would like to place and record my appreciation, especially the work that you do with the international students. And good thing here is, sir, Gurnam himself came as an international student, so he understands the travels of the students when they come to this country, and this has really helped us in their assimilation and then in moving forward. Certainly, sir, the Independence Day this time has been marked with great fervor and enthusiasm, like lighting of the iconic monuments all around the world. It was very heartening to see very nice images coming from Brisbane, Canberra, and Perth yesterday evening. when we lit up the iconic monuments over here in Australia. But let me just very briefly focus on the perspective of India's 75th year of independence, what forged the Indian identity. In the Indian case, we are fortunate that we have the very visionary founding fathers. Mahatma Gandhi became the guiding light of the India's freedom movement. And India achieved its freedom, as most of you would recall, through two very unique instruments of truth and nonviolence. This really helped in forging a common national spirit that forced the country forward. And that's why values of tolerance, compassion, adjustments, they naturally come us through. This is a part of the civilizational ethos. And that has always been very helpful for the Indian migrants once they come and adopt to Indian Australian settings over here. During the last 75 years, if I may say so, India has transformed rapidly. The achievements are indeed exceptional. The important structural reforms that have been carried out in the last few years, and when I say so, I say very particularly because India, when he talks about India, it's about 1/6 of the humanity. India has become a single unified market. A one nation, one tax. When we talk about, it's about 1/6 of the humanity. Every Indian today has a digital identity, and every Indian household has a banking account also. We look forward to having almost 900 million internet users by 2025. And today's India is driven, as Honorable Minister Dominello and others also talking about, is driven by the sheer power of our youth. They are the vanguards of India's economic transformation. By 2025, India will have almost 150 unicorns with a market capitalization of nearly $1 trillion. And this is what is driving the young Indians, and this is our demographic dividend. And that is getting manifested within India and different parts of the world. So really a rich future for a partnership beckons us. Honorable High Commissioner has dealt in detail about the trade and economic potential of this relationship. I'm fairly confident as we move forward, as the borders will open, we'll see a lot more happenings are here on the trade and economic scene between the two countries. Yeah. Our ties are at an exciting juncture. Probably they are stronger than ever. I think a very bright future beckons for us. In New South Wales, especially, some of the big ticket projects like the Western Sydney Metropolis and others are coming through. And there, I think, especially our software companies, our IT sector, they will have a big role to play when it comes to about digital backbone of this infrastructure. The number of Indian professionals that are coming to Australia and New South Wales and South Australia, they indicate the maturity and the knowledge-based nature of our increasing partnership. So in many ways, our partnership is much beyond we generally talk about cricket, Commonwealth, and curry. And even this time, the award-winning Indian hockey team had a hockey coach from Australia. So it's good, it's expanding into other sectors also. So without taking much further time, let me wish everyone once again a very happy Independence Day. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish ji, for always supporting us. And your support is kindly appreciated. Without your support, I don't think so we as an individual can do so many things. So thank you so much for your support. Now I would like to appreciate if any one of our friends would like to share their thoughts. If anyone wants to discuss or anything, just for 60 seconds. That's like a quiz or say Livingston. Mute, you're on mute.
Thank you, Gurnam. I'll be very short. Once again, happy 75th Independence Day. And I would like to acknowledge His Excellency High Commissioner Manpreet ji and also the Consul General Manish Gupta ji. We've been having a lot of interactions with Manish Gupta. I acknowledge the presence of Honorable Jason Wood, Jodi McKay, and other dignitaries who have attended, my liberal friends, Dave Sharma and Fiona Martin. I would like to acknowledge all of them. And thank you, Gurnam, for organizing such event. Indeed, we need these kind of events. The reason is that we are in a lockdown situation. We are facing the worst pandemic situation. These kind of celebrations keeps us alive. And through AISECS, you are doing a wonderful job. You are supporting students otherwise who are neglected because they are not residents. Their status is different to others. So it is that greatly you have been supporting, and you are a source of inspiration for many of us. Thank you for doing that. On the other hand, during this pandemic situation, I would like to acknowledge gratefully to Scott Morrison's government for its contribution to India during that situation. And they are going to continue to this support. And I'm really thankful for all the people who are behind this, supporting India during this crisis situation. Though cricket is something which creates a bit of differences between us, but still I would say that, we are working very closely, collaboratively, and thank you for all the dignitaries and the people who are involved in a collaborative approach. And I thank each one of you to continue to support India, vice versa, and bring in more collaborative investments into Australia. Thank you once again.
Thank you. So
I'm from Perth, Rakesh. Can I say something?
yes, please.
Hi, Gurnam. Thanks for inviting us to this very informative session you are having now. And first of all, I would like to congratulate everybody here on India's 75th Independence Day. And also like to highlight what Honorable MP Jason Wood just said about the ISWA. I'm also a management committee member of ISWA in Perth, which you guys must have noticed the big procession we did yesterday for this India at 75 Independence Day. And also like to say about the student health. I'm also chairman of a student wing of ISWA, and we've been supporting students throughout this pandemic. And government was good enough to give us $188,000 to distribute among the Indian students in Perth. And also Mark McGowan government gave us other facilities to help those students in that situation. And we are still doing that. And for that, we are very much thankful to the Liberal government and the state government during these times of pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think we are running short of time, so we'll quickly wrap up this one. And sorry, just like one.
Hi, Gurnam. Can I just quickly say something?
Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. This is Seema from the Gold Coast. We've been super blessed. We had a beautiful kite festival ceremony on the Gold Coast where a lot of people, Indians and the Gold Coast community enjoyed. And then we had a dinner at the Parliament House at the Queensland Parliament where we celebrated. We had lots of patriotic songs, poems. We heard from someone from a lady from the Indian Army. She had, she's retired now and based in Brisbane. So we had an absolute fabulous time. I do feel for everyone who's in a lockdown right now, but there are people out there in the other parts of Australia that have absolutely enjoyed yesterday and will continue to do so for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. There's a last question, Sunny Duggal, and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you, Gurnam. Thank you for having us here. And I acknowledge all the honorable ministers and parliamentarians. Jason Wood, I'm from your electorate, Cardinia. How are we? And His Excellency Manpreet Vohra ji and Consul General Manish Gupta and all our distinguished guests. Yesterday we had a flag hosting. I will just sum up with that in Melbourne, but this was in a virtual form. And I actually got the opportunity to attend that flag hosting on behalf of all Indian diaspora because of my work, which was already happening in the city and with a proper permit, of course. And that was the occasion. And I'm very happy to celebrate 75th year with the Melbourne Consul General Rajkumar ji and have such auspicious the trade bilateral talks we discussed about India, Australia, and what's Melbourne counterpart doing. So Gurnam, hats off to you. You're doing a wonderful job. Our support with you always. And Manpreet Vohra ji, it will be His Excellency, it will be good to see you in the coming future. I know the lockdowns have extended. I'm just getting breaking news from everywhere. Canberra's gone into 2 weeks and we've gone into 2nd September. So God bless. Whenever we see each other and all the Indian diaspora guests, it's a wonderful job Gurnam is doing. And thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, I would like to thank you for all of you to taking out of time for your busy schedule and made this celebration memorable. Now, before we end up the virtual celebration, here I would like to wish all my beloved Indians a very happy Independence Day. This occasion, I would like to remind everyone of our biggest strength, which is our unity. We celebrate Independence Day because of the sacrifice made by our freedom fighters. But today, let's remind ourselves of the hard work of our being made by our frontline workers in the pandemic and thank them for standing strong to keep us and dear ones safe. So kudos to our heroes. The selfless contribution will be remembered forever. And I hope next year we get to celebrate all our festival with our family, friends, and all the people together. Thank you so much for all of your time, especially the ministers and the Consul General and the High Commissioner, sir. It is really honored for us to have you. It's such a pleasure that you gave us the time. 1 hour, I think it's actually, I need to wrap up. We should go in long talk, but I think that's the time. So, sir, would you like to say anything to end up this? Manpreet ji?
Well, I'd like to just say thank you once again to everybody. Delighted to see you, delighted to see friends. I hadn't noticed that Seema had joined us from Gold Coast. We happen to be from the same town, in fact, the same neighborhood. And her parents and my parents remain good friends till today. Yes. Lovely to see all of you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you particularly, Gurnam, to you for organizing this. And thank you, all ministers, all members of parliament, Consul General, for joining us. Thank you very much. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.